So, dun dun dun. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my new favourite books. Now I saw it online and I was like, what could this be? They made it out to be a love story, so I was like, ooh, you know, romantic, all that stuff. It is called Geek Love and it is by Katherine Dunn. Here's the action shot. And I'll read a little bit of the blurb because it's such a hard story to explain. So you have Lil Benuski, I'm gonna say this so wrong, born as a Boston aristocrat, was in her time the most stylish of geeks. That is to say, she made her living by biting the heads off live chickens in front of a carnival audience. This she gave up for doting motherhood because she and her fairground-owning husband had a money-spinning idea. Throughout each pregnancy, Lil gobbles pesticides, experiments with drugs, and douses herself with radiation to ensure that she produces infants grotesque enough to keep the turnstiles clicking. So basically, even though it makes it out that Lil is the main character, it's actually written from her daughter's perspective. So she has a son called Arturo, two sort of Siamese twins called Electra and Infigenia. And the story is written by Olympia, who is a hunchback. So each child has very different conditions, I want to say. But I think it's really interesting because when I first started reading it, I was like, why is it written from her perspective? Because out of all the family members, she's deemed the most normal. But as it goes on, it's really interesting to read stuff from her perspective, especially as her brother is so strange in a way. So her normal traits aren't really like most people, if they saw a hunchback, wouldn't determine them 100% normal. But in terms of the family, she's more of a disgraced character, so she isn't even in the circus. So I found that really, really interesting. And I don't know how to explain this story. Like, the blurb doesn't even start to explain how confusing and just complex this story gets, and it's written in such a weird but intriguing way. I've been telling all my friends about it and they're like, oh, I need to borrow it, because it's called Geek Love, and I get why it's called Geek Love, because she was a geek as such, but it's so misleading because when you read it online, a lot of the reviews talk very much about the love element, especially between the parents, and I was like, oh, it's going to be a typical love story, geek, maybe, I don't know, and it just wasn't what I expected straight from the first chapter. I would say my favourite character, it probably shouldn't be, but it's the brother, Arturo. He's very, I'm probably saying that wrong by the way, he's very, very interesting. He's known as the Aqua Boy, and he has like weird limbs. I don't know how to explain it. I should find a bit of the book to explain it really. But he's a very conceited character, I want to say, and very arrogant, and it's interesting in a world where people who are out of the ordinary are sort of treated not in a good way. It's really interesting to see how he twists it and makes himself so popular, considering he's born with such severe abnormalities, and he manages to make people worship him and accept him, considering in society people that are like that, we wouldn't automatically see them as a leader. So it's how someone can manipulate people using their brain no matter what their body is like. And it's very interesting to see that from Olympia's point of view, because she's a very, what's the word? All I'm thinking is recessive and dominant right now. So she's not a very dominant character, and she's very easily stepped on by particularly her brother, because he plays on this. And it is really, really interesting to see that dynamic, especially as it changes as she gets older, because she starts to experience different feelings, wanting different things, wanting to have a child, so that's really interesting too. I would say personally the most interesting part of the story is they have another child, a brother called Chick, who's the newer one in the family, and he's got the most advanced powers. And I'm not going to say what they are because, let me check, they are not on the blurb, so I don't want to say it in case it slightly spoils the story, but he's sort of the main... When he starts to get introduced, you know that it's starting to build up to something and that tension's increasing. But I have to say I agree with a lot of the reviews online when they say that the climax that he leads to is very done and dusted very quickly. You spend a lot of pages building up, and I read this on the commute to uni, so I was reading it like on the tube, people looking at me, and I was reading away, almost missed my stop a couple of times, and I was so eager to find out what happened, and within 2 pages it was over. So it was very, very built up, and it was over so quickly that I can see how some people find that really disappointing. Me personally, I did a little, but it's the pace and the tone of the book that I didn't expect it to be really overdone. But it was building to it for a long, long time, because the book itself is 392 pages long, so that is fairly long to build up to something that's over in 2 pages, but I feel like the context and the building up, although it starts a little tedious, is really needed to get the full impact of the story. Overall, I would say this book is not what I expected at all, but in a good way. I feel like I didn't expect it, which was good, because I feel like if I'd known what was going to be in the book, I would have had a bit of a preconceived idea, whereas because I had nothing, it really shocked me in some of the stuff. Some of the things were so... what's the word? I don't want to say grotesque, but some of them, the way they're spoken about, especially about Arturo's character, is very interesting to read, and not what you would find in a normal book. It's written in a very interesting and strange way, but I feel like that really sends the message home and really makes the story even more shocking / interesting. So I would say definitely check it out if you want to. Geek Love, Katherine Dunn. And I think it's a pretty old book, and it's been reviewed a few times, because I got mine on Amazon. I think it was secondhand, and it was fairly cheap. I want to say it was about £3 or £4, and considering it's £7.50 to sell, I was really happy with that. I saw it on one of the lists of 20 books you should read, and I figured, let me try it, and trust me, you will not put it down once you start reading it. Really?